Oh, welcome back to the Millwall View. We've got George back, and oh my goodness, this is a different Millwall in prospect, isn't it, George? Good to see you. We've got lots to talk about. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, I'm good, not too bad. I feel like it's been a while since we last spoke, and a lot's gone on at the football club since. So lots to talk
Absolutely,
about.
absolutely. Let's
Yeah.
get straight to it then. Joe Edwards was sacked. Was it the right decision?
Yes, it was the right decision. I felt sorry for him because I felt like it was a sort of right manager, maybe wrong time, and he wasn't maybe given enough time. I felt like he needed maybe a summer transfer window. But in the end, the last two games we had Ipswich at home lost 4-0, and then we had Sheffield Wednesday at home and lost 2-0, and they were big defeats, big blows for him, and you couldn't really see a way past it after that. It seemed like he almost lost the dressing room a bit as well. The players sort of lost belief in what he wanted from them and the style of play. They lost belief. So in the end, he had to go. He had to go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, once you lose the dressing room as a manager, there is no coming back, and I think there was elements of that, wasn't there, seeping out into the press and so on. So, yeah, did you want a bigger name than what you got? Or, I mean, obviously hindsight's different because obviously the results, but before we knew these results, what was your initial reaction when you heard about Harris returning?
Well, when I heard about Neil Harris returning, the first thing I thought was that I thought it was a very backwards decision from the football club. I didn't see where the long term strategy was. I think you can see that because he only been offered an 18-month contract, they don't see him being the manager past those 18 months. So then you sort of look at it and you look at, well, where's the long term strategy? It sort of seems to be like a short fix, but the long term issues are still there. So we've brought back in Neil Harris mainly just to steady the ship, because the priority at the football club is to stay in the division. We can't afford to get relegated. So the priority is to stay in division. He's come in to steady the ship. And at first, I think a lot of the fan base sort of, wasn't very happy with the decision, including myself. But obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But now, it seems like it's a masterstroke from the football club to bring back Neil Harris, who knows the football club, he knows what it means, he knows what it takes to win games of football. The football's not pretty. The actual style of play is not pretty, and it's never going to be pretty. But if we're getting results, and the main thing is that it keeps us up, then who are we to complain?
Yeah, I mean, his comments this week have been about, it needs a Millwall-esque kind of team to keep us up. Have you seen in the two results that you've had that, you have got that identity back? Because
Mm.
Edwards was trying to make you into a footballing team, wasn't he? Which, with the players you've got wasn't working in most regards. But do you think is he just taking you back to basics and do the simple things well and just, let you put some tackles in to start off with?
Yeah. Well, previously before Harris, I felt like Millwall had lost their spine. We had no real backbone. Under Edwards, we were trying to play a style of football which unfortunately the players just couldn't play. And obviously there's a debate whether he needed longer, blah blah blah. But it wasn't working. That's the fact is it wasn't working. So he had to change it. And Neil Harris has come in, and straight away you can see he's brought that togetherness back, that ethos, that Millwall sort of way, where we're not going to be pretty, but we're going to be in your face. We're going to be putting tackles in. We're going to get the crowd going. And we might get a slice of luck like we did on Saturday for Fleming's free kick, and we'll punish teams. And defensively, especially under his way, we're always going to be very solid. We sort of sit as like a low block. Any balls which come in the box, Tanganga and Cooper are quite comfortable at heading them away. They're good box defenders. So the players we've got certainly suit Harris compared to what they were for Edwards. But the main thing is that he's brought the Millwall ethos back. He's brought the togetherness back. And I think that's what was certainly missing, especially towards the end of Edwards' reign.
Yeah. Do you think there was a bit of a disconnect between Edwards and the fans? Do you think he ever got the club properly? There was lots of people saying like, his Chelsea connections and people couldn't see past that, and he wasn't true kind of Millwall. It was how much of that is now obviously now part of the reason that Harris is doing well because the fans are now back behind the side, aren't they? Is there an element to that, or is that just media talk?
No, I don't believe that Joe Edwards didn't care. I think Joe Edwards, in his first managerial job, wanted the absolute best for the football club. But he's come in, and the club was in a transition period. We was going from one style of football with another, with players who couldn't quite cope with it, couldn't uncomfortable maybe as other teams in the league at playing football. So I don't believe that Joe Edwards didn't care or didn't want to be at the football club. I think he wanted the absolute best. He was just a little bit out of his depth in the end, unfortunately for me. He was a little bit out of his depth. And it was a risk. It was an experiment which hasn't paid off, unfortunately. There was obviously a
Okay.
huge risk assessment getting a young manager in who's only been a youth coach for his whole career. And unfortunately, it didn't pay off. But listen, under Harris now, there's a little bit of stability there, which I like, and hopefully we can finish off strongly and get out of those sort of relegation, get out of the relegation battle which we currently find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, do you look at your home fixtures though, and look with some sort of slight worry because you've got Birmingham, which we'll talk about in a minute, and we'll get a Birmingham fan in. Then you've got West Brom, you've got Leicester, and then Cardiff and Plymouth to finish. So if you don't pick up points against Birmingham, the next two are tricky, and then the last two are going to be. You don't really want those to be 6-pointers because those can go either way. So this is a big game this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the championship is the championship. It's probably the hardest league in the world to predict. Sort of anyone can beat anyone on their day. But if you look at the last two results, 2-1 away at Southampton, great result. A 1-0 win at home to Watford on the weekend, great result. Unfortunately, teams around us are also winning. So we can only just focus on ourselves and keep sort of grafting and making sure we win games of football. And like you said, difficult games coming up. I think our next two are massive. Blackburn away and then Birmingham at home, obviously, at the weekend's huge. Because after that, like you said, tough fixtures. We've still got to play West Brom at home. We've got to play Leeds away. We've got to play Leicester at home, as well as teams who are also in and around us trying to get out of the dogfight. So it's going to be difficult. But if we just focus on ourselves and focusing on trying to get wins on the board, then I think we'll be more than all right.
Okay. All right. I have to say that Southampton result bust a lot of accumulators, mine included. So Millwall are not my favourite team at the moment. Let's bring in our Birmingham fan, Adam, who's heading to the New Den with a couple of thousand odd Blue fans this weekend. Good evening, Adam. What do you make? What do you make of Millwall then? The reverse fixture was a 1-1 scoreline. I've got to say, I'll be honest with you. If I'm picking any scoreline out for this game this weekend, it's 1-1 or 0-0. Do you think the priority this weekend is making sure Millwall don't win, given the proximity in the table?
So it's going to be a nervous game now. But I think if Blues turn up and play the way they did against Southampton, we should walk them off the park because we were good against Southampton in large parts of the game. It was just obviously the quality of their squad eventually took over, and that's what got them the result in the end. So, but yeah, it's not going to be one of them sort of games. It's going to be very much a typical Millwall team that's going to come, like George said, and they're going to come in fighting from the off every ball is, and it's probably going to be a scrappy game. But yeah, as long as we don't leave there with nothing, then we've got to take that as a positive. Obviously, the dream's 3 points, but it's got to be 1 point at a minimum.
Yeah, George, how important is the atmosphere going to be at the New Den? You need to make that place as hostile as possible, don't you, for Birmingham? Did that happen this weekend against Watford?
It did happen, yes. And under Neil Harris knows exactly how to get the crowd going. He's our all-time leading goal scorer. He's managed a football club previously for 6-7 years from League One and Championship. So he knows exactly how to get the crowd on their side. And Saturday was a very good atmosphere. I'm sure this Saturday will be another good atmosphere. Near enough probably a sellout, especially if we get a good result midweek against Blackburn. So I'm looking forward to next weekend. I am.
All right, let's get some score predictions from you both then, please. George, you're at home, so you can go first.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's crazy how football works, because if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I couldn't tell you when our next win was coming. It's honestly, it's mental. I couldn't tell you when our next win was coming. Now we've won 2 on our bout, two on a spin, and I don't see how we can lose. I mean, obviously football can change very quickly, obviously, but I think we're going to win the game 1-0. It's got a 1-0 written all over it for me, or 1-0, or if not, like a 0-0 or a 1-1. But I'm feeling optimistic with the way the last 2 games have gone. So at home, especially, Neil Harris knows how to get the crowd going. I'm feeling a 1-0.
Okay, definitely under 2.5 goals for me. Adam?
2-0 Blues.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just
love the confidence.
If our flair players turn up, we've got enough to damage them. But
right, fair enough. George, just give us your player of the month for February just before we go.
Player of the month for February, I'm going with Danny McNamara, and Danny McNamara is traditionally a right back. We played a 5 at the back a lot this season, and as a wing back, he's not really as comfortable. And in recent weeks, in the month of February, he's been playing at left back, which I think a lot of people were looked at. Well, why is he playing left back? He's a right back. We was playing Leonard right back or Norton Cuffy right back, but he's gone into that left back position and he's been so solid, defensively good, can pass the ball, reads the game really well. Out on that sort of weak on his weak foot as well, out of left back, I think he's done really well. So I think Danny McNamara is our player of the month.
All right, thanks, George. If you're a Millwall fan and hasn't yet subscribed, please do so. We've got a bumpy 8 weeks ahead of us for lots of teams, and we'll be following Millwall and Neil Harris every step of the way. Thanks, George.
No worries, mate.
See you this week. Nice one.